Bombs are reported to have been dropped near a massive demonstration in the Yemeni capital Sana'a. Hundreds of thousands of people are gathered to protest against airstrikes by a Saudi-led coalition. But bombing raids on a mountain nearby sparked panic in the crowd. No injuries have been reported. Saudi Arabia has been leading a campaign to oust rebel Houthis since March of last year. Well, the rebels took over parts of the country, including the capital, in 2014, and they forced the government into exile. Neighbouring Saudi Arabia has been criticised for retaliating with airstrikes which have caused civilian casualties. Iona Craig, a British journalist who has lived in Yemen, says that the Saudis use intimidation and fear.
It appears to be an intimidation tactic, if anything. A lot of this war has been psychological on Sana'a in particular, where airstrikes and low-flying fighter jets have been used to intimidate people and to spread fear. And I think that seems to be been the case today by the Saudi-led coalition in an attempt to intimidate the crowd that was out there.
And huge crowd, I mean nearly 100,000. I don't know if they've managed to get this number out before, but it shows the level of public anger and frustration.
Yes, but I also think you can't see this as a comprehensive feeling across Yemen. I've spent a lot of time in southern Yemen, and this is a war as much between Yemenis as it is between the Houthis and the Saleh forces in the north of Yemen against Saudi Arabia. But Yemenis are fighting each other as well, and certainly in the south, you would get as many people out on the streets demonstrating against the Houthis and Saleh in the north. So it's not an indication of the sentiment across the country. And certainly those who are in the south are even in support of the Saudi coalition strikes. Even people that I've spoken to in the past who lost family members to those strikes in the south, they still blame the Houthis because they see this war have been started because of them, because of the actions they took of taking over large parts of the country.
And what are the criticisms of the airstrikes and the British and American involvement as well in them? Are they having any effect?
Well, I think there has been some pressure now building over the last few months in particular. There have been increasing evidence mounting of violations of international humanitarian law, and I think anybody that's spent time on the ground over the last year have seen incidents of that and clear evidence. I think now there is a judicial review, certainly, that the UK government has been put to. The deadline for that, though, isn't until February next year. There is also pressure mounting in the US, where politicians there are trying to prevent any further sales of weapons to Saudi Arabia, because, of course, the US and the UK have been making millions of dollars out of this war. The US has sold $20 billion worth of weapons and arms to Saudi Arabia since the war began, and the UK has sold £3.3 billion worth of weapons to Saudi Arabia in that time. So that not only makes them largely, possibly accountable for some of these international violations of international humanitarian law, but makes them very much involved in the conflict.